Good evening. The Jean Kirkpatrick Award has been presented by the Lyndon Harry Bradley Foundation and the American Conservative Union now for a number of years. And each year we have the pleasure of selecting from among the most courageous academics in the country. Dr. Everett Piper, who is the president of Oklahoma Wesleyan University, is this year's recipient of the Jean Kirkpatrick Prize. The prize includes a stipend of $10,000. Dr. Piper's outspokenness in the wake of this year's snowflake rebellions has been notable. In a voice of authority and with proper respect, he demanded that students show tolerance for one another in mutually respectful conversations. His speech, "This is not a daycare, it's a university," is the reason that he is receiving this award. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom begins as an idea. And if we do not have men and women on our college campuses who are determined to protect those ideas, to stand up for what's true and for what's right, and to stand up for the respect and the mutual tolerance that are essential to a pluralistic society, then, ladies and gentlemen, we are lost. So it is with great pride and great pleasure that on behalf of the Board of Directors at the Lyndon and Harry Bradley Foundation, I present the Jean Kirkpatrick Award for Academic Freedom to Dr. Everett Piper. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Bradley Foundation, the American Conservative Union, and CPAC for this honor. I'm very humbled by it. And I'd like to apologize. My day job is a college president. I've been asked to give a brief speech with regard to my opinion on the state of education today. So bear with me and I will do that. Richard Weaver told us that ideas have consequences. Hitler said, "Let me control the textbooks and I will control the state." Huxley and Orwell warned of dystopias where education would be used as a means of total power and total control. Ideas do matter. Ideas clearly have consequences. Good ideas lead to good places, and bad ideas lead to bad places. As your grandmother said, garbage in and garbage out, and she was right. Education matters. Bad ideas will breed bad behavior as surely as an acorn will grow an oak or a hurricane will bring a flood. Why would we expect, after decades of teaching sexual promiscuity in our schools, that our kids would exercise sexual restraint in the same setting? Why are we surprised at the selfishness of our culture when we have subjected our children to a curriculum that teaches self-esteem more effectively than it does science or civics? How can we possibly think that teaching values clarification rather than moral absolutes will raise up a virtuous people? And where in the annals of all of human history is there any evidence that the subordination of one person's right to choose to another person's right to life ever resulted in every individual's unalienable right to live? And why would any culture ever think that after decades of diminishing the value of marital fidelity, that same culture would then be able to mount a vigorous defense for the meaning of marriage? I could go on and on. The evidence is pretty clear to all of us. All we need to do is turn on the nightly news to see the proof. Ideas have consequences. Today, education has become more interested in what is common than what is exceptional, in acquiring more information rather than more ethics, in teaching the student how to get a career and use a condom rather than how to build character and follow Christ. Education has lost its way, and consequently, our country has lost its soul and our culture has lost its sense. The contemporary academy is known not for pursuing truth, but rather for the celebration of tolerance. And in the name of tolerance, we are told our intolerance is intolerable. Education elites actually parrot this pablum. I cannot tolerate your intolerance, and I hate you hateful people, and I'm sure that nothing is sure, and I know that nothing can be known, and I'm absolutely confident there are no absolutes. And they do so with a straight face. It would be humorous if this self-refuting duplicity weren't so sad. The result of this nonsense is that the banner of tolerance has become the dark flag of tyranny almost overnight. What was academic freedom just yesterday is ideological fascism today. Rather than celebrating liberty, liberals now demand conformity. Campuses are now bastions of speech codes rather than free speech. Students are more interested in trigger warnings than they are in pursuing truth. Disagreement is now synonymous with hate, and Ben Stein was absolutely right. There is no intelligence allowed, and if you dare challenge the party line or the politically correct, you will be expelled. The bottom line is this. Education is in peril. Run by the state and its thought police, colleges across the land have become indoctrination camps more so than campuses of open inquiry. Propaganda and power now reign where there used to be an open pursuit of truth. An event this past summer, I want you to hear me on this, an event this past summer that is now old news is very instructive, and it shouldn't be forgotten by any of us. It was when Howard Dean questioned then-candidate Scott Walker's qualifications to be president because of Walker's lack of a college degree. This is Dean's quote. Were Walker to become president, he would be the first in many generations that did not have a college degree. The issue is how well educated is this guy, and that's a problem, unquote. Well, for the sake of argument, let's admit that Dean's premise has some merit, that one's education does matter, and that, as Richard Weaver wrote in 1948, ideas do have consequences, that it all starts with education, that good ideas lead to good beliefs and good behavior and good culture and good government, and that bad ideas lead to bad beliefs and bad behavior and bad culture and bad government. Let's assume that we therefore would be wise to take a look at the ideas our colleges have been teaching over the past several decades and evaluate the results. For the sake of argument, let's look at education's track record for the 68 years since Weaver's seminal publication, which is ironically the same year as Howard Dean's birthday. For example, for 68 years, we have sent our kids off to sit under the tutelage of faculty who have panned a Judeo-Christian ethic and praised its antithesis. For 68 years, we've taught our next generation it doesn't matter what you believe as long as it works for you. For 68 years, we've told our youth that there is a moral equivalency between America and its enemies, and we've implied that our nation is bad and that the rest of the world is right to hate us. And we've instructed our students to laugh at those who have warned of communism and government largesse. For 68 years, college professors have said that Marxism has its merits and that liberation theology is the only good religion, that socialism is better than free enterprise, and that capitalism is the cause of crime. For 68 years, we have fomented class resentment and racial animus. For 68 years, we've dismissed excellence while extolling entitlement. For 68 years, professors have preached that pastors and priests are stupid. And for 68 years, we've fed our kids a diet of moral nihilism and instructed our boys and girls to use a condom rather than obey God's commandments. Why are we surprised? Why are we surprised in what we see in today's news? Our judges can't find the word marriage in the dictionary. Our State Department thinks the way to stop terrorists is to give them jobs. Our president says he appreciates the legitimate grievances, quote unquote, of Muslims who stone women and behead journalists and crucify children. And our Congress has lost its conscience, and our kids have lost their character, and our culture has lost its soul. Yes, Mr. Dean, education is a problem. Ideas do have consequences, and the lousy ideas we have been teaching in our universities for the past several decades are bearing themselves out daily before our eyes. But with all due respect, Governor Dean, I would rather have a president who hasn't been indoctrinated by this vacuous nonsense than one who has. And, Mr. Dean, I would rather have a president with no degree who knows he's not God than one with a degree who thinks he is. The solution to this absurdity is found in the historical liberal arts academy in classical liberalism and its assumption of freedom and liberty and liberation, that there are ideas that are right and just and true, tested by time, defended by reason, validated by experience, and endowed to us by our Creator. As far back as Moses, we are told that only in trusting in such truths and teaching them to our children will mankind ever be set free. Education is not about opinions. I do not pat you on the back when you graduate from Oklahoma Wesleyan University and say, "Congratulations, you earned a diploma in opinions." That would be absurd. I hope after attending my university you actually learned something and acquired some measure of truth above and beyond what you had when you started. Opinions always are dangerous. Pol Pot had an opinion, and Mao and Robespierre and Chavez and Hitler and Mussolini and Castro all had opinions. All the despots of history had opinions, and it did not end well. Fair enough. It did not end well. But freedom trusts in principles rather than people, power, politics, or opinions. Freedom honors the debate because it knows there is an answer, a true north, a measuring rod outside of those things being measured. Freedom trusts in first things. As C.S. Lewis said, freedom trusts in a holiday at the beach rather than mud pies in the back alley. G.K. Chesterton told us that if you get rid of the big laws of God, you do not get liberty, but rather thousands upon thousands of little laws that rush in to fill the vacuum. Freedom, true and lasting freedom, is not found in the rules of government, but rather in the liberty of God. Not in Caesar, but in Christ. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Thank you.